CEO and art director for Stuzo Clothing, and I'm so excited to talk to you about your company. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Now, your designs are hot, so you got to tell us what inspired you to start designing T-shirts, and then went on from there.
Right, right. I mean, as a whole life itself, my experiences in this world is has been interesting. But mainly growing up and going into the big box department stores. I at the time I would go into the women's section. As you know, they were sectioned off, and they're still sectioned off to this day. But going in there, the apparel was made for a woman. And although I identify as a woman, as we know, as human beings, we come in different shapes and sizes. And, I'm 5'2", then I probably was like 140. So, I couldn't really find something that really personified how I dressed. I was
Mm.
more of a tom girl. I was snuck in, wore my grandmother's and brother's clothes, so the tight look was not really me. And then going into the men's section at first felt like, stepping into a man cave or something, because they're like, hey, what are you doing here? So once I got over the uncomfortability of that, I realized that everything is extremely oversized. So now I'm left with this dilemma as to why people, and designers won't make clothes for the people in between that don't identify as a gender, and also that we have different shapes and sizes, so it should be inclusive, but it's very hard. And like, as a kid, I'm not really altering my clothes. I'm kind of taking it as it is. So
Mhm.
up until till then, until 2008, I was working on my BFA in fine arts. I was like, you know, uh, it's not out there, and there's a demand, and I wanted to create what I saw. So, in addition to getting sizing and making clothes for human beings first, I also wanted to put a message there and to incorporate my culture. I'm Afro Latina. I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and I've seen a lot of things, and there are a lot of things that I'm passionate about. So, and I just figured that I couldn't be the only one in this world.
Mm.
So I started sketching and sketching, and Stuzo was born, and people took to it because I think mainly we create clothes for humans, and that's one commonality that we all as human beings can relate to. So
Yeah, and that's what's
taking all the gender out of it,
what.
and having a safe space for us to really just as humans show our identity through fashion is the mission, and I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, and that's why your mission is so important today, because so many, especially young people, they and everybody, they just want to fit in,
Mhm.
they just want to be
Yeah.
accepted, and I think that's what your clothing line does. But can you talk to us a little bit more about your experience navigating the fashion world as a queer black person? Because this is not an easy industry to get into, to break in, but you've successfully been able to do that.
Yeah, it really isn't. And when I did, I wasn't thinking about that. I think I approached it the way I approached everything else in life. I mean, growing up as, like I said, as an Afro Latina woman, um, a lot of things are kind of stacked up against us. And if you take that approach, you'll lead with that energy. So, you know, I believe, we were born free to be whoever we are, just the human being we're born to do. And my thing was I wanted to tap into that and all the aspects of all that I am. And if I let any of those hardships that's in this industry and a lot of other industries get in my way, I'd be in my own way. So I really I took the approach that I did with everything and collaborated with people. I created my own lane. I did not while I saw that there are opportunities that might not have been flowing to me before, I didn't let it bother me, because that just, thus far that's how I had been breaking into every other industry that I was in. So I don't really look at that. I really, if there is a problem, and there are some problems, I would like to offer solutions to it and
Mm.
create these safe spaces and the things that I don't see, rather than focusing on the things that are already there.
Well, you bring up a good point because it's really important to note that customer base is a powerful driving force for genderless fashion. And as more people feel free to discover who they are and how they choose to express themselves, this year searches for fashion items with agender keywords have increased by 33%. And social media mentions for genderless fashion terms sparked 46% in May. So what does that say to you about where society is going when it comes to gender and identity?
Well, it says that, society's waking up and opening their eyes and hearts to more than just, a male or woman identifying human. I mean, there are different facets to us, and we are individuals, and I think, seeing and experiencing other people's kids and their own kids, and it opens up their eyes. And this generation is very different, even from
Hmm.
the one that I grew up in. Because a lot of these things weren't around, and I definitely didn't see the progression, and I'm so happy for that. And I'm really glad that now, everyday people, and from the influencers to everybody, they're
Yeah.
looking at this world
Well,
with
trust me,
more, like
e-
I said, open eyes.
everybody is going to be looking at you and all of your designs with open eyes ready to buy. So we want y'all to support Stoney Michelli Love, the founder and CEO of Stuzo Clothing. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the red carpet.